It is Pac-12 football presented by Opus Bank, where this afternoon the Stanford Cardinal visit Autzen Stadium and the Oregon Ducks. There's no conference championship on the game. There's not even a national championship game on the line here. But don't make the mistake of thinking that somehow reduces the value of this game to these two teams.
No doubt about it, guys. This may be the first time in the entire decade where there's not some kind of ring on the line. But when you talk to both coaches, David Shaw and Mark Helfrich, they say that momentum in finishing this season out is as possible as ever, and they want their teams to put their best foot forward.
All right, so as you look at what Stanford finally has going now, they feel good about the two-headed monster in the backfield.
Look at what they have available to them for the Stanford Cardinal, what we lovingly like to call the McLovin package. Christian McCaffery dotting the I in this backfield set. Bryce Love in the slot. Two of the best playmakers that they have available to them. They'll fake the handoff on the interior to McCaffery. Watch the entire defense suck down into the tackle box. And then the near 10 flat speed of Bryce Love on display. Also on display, his left tackle, A.T. Hall, over 30 yards down the field, blocking defensive backs. That type of effort is what's really led this Stanford offense towards some bigger plays. Need to find a way to pick up chunk yardage.
For Oregon, the headline of its offense is not a clever nickname, but two words: freshman quarterback. But it might not be what you think, because Justin Herbert has shown a lot.
I don't think he's just on his pace to be one of the best playmakers in the Pac-12. I'm talking all of college football. Justin Herbert has shown that type of potential as a true freshman. Put up sort of historic numbers. Touchdown passes he's tied in a single game. Passing yards with 489. He's also tied in a single game. When you're looking at playmakers towards the future of this Oregon Ducks program, Justin Herbert's going to lead the way.
Meanwhile, a fifth-year senior, the other big story for Oregon. It is senior day, and no one's had a longer, more winding road back to redemption than Farrell Brown.
Just the story of him being on the field is resemblance enough. I mean, it almost brings tears to your eyes when you think back 2 seasons ago to the fact that Farrell Brown may not have ever played football again. Not only is he back on the field, but it's turned back into that old school Farrell Brown playmaking form. Last 2 games, 12 receptions, 3 times he's gotten into the paint. Farrell Brown playing as well as he ever had.
Well, he got the loudest roar moments ago from this Autzen faithful as he gets ready. He knows they need to win. 3 games left for Oregon to get to a bowl. Stanford still a chance at double-digit wins. It's the Ducks and the Cardinal, and it's coming up next.
One of the most elusive players in all of college football has made his way to Autzen Stadium. Last year's Heisman Trophy runner-up looks to be clear of his injuries, but today, as usual, he will refuse to be dinner for a defense that's trying to swallow him up. Any defense can identify with being a predator, right? And Christian McCaffrey seems to avoid being caught. This video you're watching went viral over last week, a spinoff of a Nat Geo clip that showed an iguana somehow avoiding capture by snakes that looked like they had every angle covered. Well, today, the Oregon defense hopes to have all of its angles covered when McCaffery is on the field, hoping his ability to change directions, slither out of tackles, and explode with speed does not cause them to miss the meal they call a tackle. Now, by the way, this clip was created by Ryan O'Rourke. He's Stanford's in-house video producer, put it together last Wednesday, and in the first 24 hours, he had nearly 100,000 hits across multiple platforms, and Christian McCaffrey's Instagram blew up with 55,000 hits. Guys, I think snakes are going to be part of the storyline today.
All right, for a man that doesn't love snakes, Lewis sure watched that video a lot, Anthony. Oregon won the toss and elected to receive, and back deep, it's Charles Nelson who will kneel it down, and so the Ducks will start at the 25-yard line. And here comes the freshman Justin Herbert, making his 5th career start since he debuted against Washington a month ago. Jalen Brown getting the start at wide receiver at the bottom of the screen over Darren Carrington. And with the first carry, it's Royce Freeman, who did not start against SC last week. He gets a couple yards on first down.
Last week, we weren't sure what the situation would be in today's game with Tony Brooks-James playing so well in recent weeks.
Freeman again. Thomas the first man there after a pickup of 1, maybe 2. And it's 3rd down and 3. Herbert to throw for the first time. And it's in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Farrell Brown.
I believe it was Bobby Okereke who sort of flashed in front of the hands of Farrell Brown. Nice whip route working inside, and the ball got there to Brown. Just couldn't come up with the grab.
It'll be Ian Wheeler from inside his own 20 to punt it away cleanly. And McCaffrey's going to fair catch it right at the 40-yard line. And so just a minute into the game, not quite. Stanford ended its last game against Oregon State with 29 straight runs, and they'll begin here with the Iguana caught up in the backfield. At least on that play, the Snakes win.
Kind of like the intensity we see on first down, and the edge is set right there by Henry Mondu. Mondu ended up coming in on the tackle late, but the fact that he could knock the line of scrimmage back.
Chris to throw. And that is incomplete, too low. It hit the ground. Irwin trying to scoop it up.
Brady Hope told us expect aggressiveness from the Ducks defense. We'll see if they bring extra.
Here come 5. Chris steps up, looking for Arcega-Whiteside, who has it knocked away, broken up by Tyree Robinson, the junior. Back-to-back 3-and-outs from both offenses to start this game.
But Brady Hope said he really feels like this defense has started to play better in recent weeks. Part of the reason has been guys like Tyree Robinson, some of the vocal leaders in this lineup, a team that, you know, outwardly maybe there's thoughts of this being a lost season.
Yeah, that's got some great air under it. Mitchell will fair catch it at the 28, a 36-yard punt.
Back here at Autzen Stadium, taking a look at who PFF College ranks as the 3 most productive defensive linemen in the Pac-12 Conference. Couldn't agree more. Solomon Thomas, Greg Gaines, Hercules, Mata Afa, 3 different types of players.
Lined up to the far right of the formation, and he is in pursuit of Royce Freeman, who tries to turn the corner and gets dragged down. Justin Reed, the free safety, the first man there.
The big part of that equation, and using 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 tight ends for Oregon, gives them that ability.
Herbert pulls it down, slides to a first down to move the chains, the first down of the game. Oregon, and that's a little progression I think you've seen in his decision-making when he's running.
Without a doubt, just the decisiveness to tuck the football, get up the field, move the chains with your legs.
That ball snapped before the stick set. Barton got his nose in.
You need to take on a defender versus those times where you can use that baseball slide.
Here's a second down, pressure coming right up the middle from Barton, out to Freeman, who nearly slips the tackle. 3rd and 4. Complete. Darren Carrington.
Missed opportunities have been there for this Ducks offense with drop passes. We saw one in the previous series. Right on time. The ball from the right arm of Justin Herbert. Sure grab from Carrington.
This is Tony Brooks-James in for a yard.
Defense in jeopardy. Stanford takes more of the mentality led by Lance Anderson just to be sound on 1st and 2nd down before they attack with extra bodies.
Pressure here. It's Carrington again, slipping inside and finally getting tackled down by Joey Alfieri.
Because they can dominate the line of scrimmage with 4.
Movement up front.
False start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Brady Aiello, one of the 4 freshmen on this Oregon offensive line.
And no surprise seeing it today because we've seen it essentially since Justin Herbert's been in the lineup. 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. They have featured this at an exponential level by comparison to when Dakota Prukop was the quarterback.
2 tight ends that time. One of them was the lead blocker, and it doesn't do any good as Herbert is thrown backwards for a loss.
We've seen a lot of Justin Herbert from inside the pocket throughout today's game, and frankly over the last couple of weeks. I believe moving the launch point will be key.
Steps up, pressure, gets away from Alfieri, and is unable to get the ball to Pharaoh Brown, and so a turnover on down. Time to go inside the integers on this matchup. It's been a long time, not since 2008. 8 years have both of these teams not been ranked entering the Stanford-Oregon game. And it's a significant thing when you consider since then 17 bowl appearances going all the way back to 2007 combined. A lot of winning that they're used to. 60 wins apiece since 2011. Second possession for Stanford, and Daniel Marks makes his first appearance after 6 games injured, standing in front of Christian McCaffery and leading the way into the hole as McCaffery drags Tyree Robinson.
That's exciting. Daniel Marks, one of the best fullbacks in the Pac-12, been out of the lineup for over a month. Not only his ability to lead block, but his ability in pass protection as well. What they can do in his ability to help them protect the quarterback. It's just another safety blanket that they have available.
He's now to the top of the formation, and he'll go in motion in front of McCaffery on 2nd down and 2. 2 tight ends to the right. Here's McCaffery. First down and more. Christian McCaffery, the home run hitter. Christian McCaffery is back. Touchdown, Stanford, 61 yards.
It's that slight motion where they brought Marks back into the backfield, and then a great pull from Nate Herbig, the true freshman, coming from the strong side of the field, motioning to the backside on this power play, and McCaffery so well blocked at the point of attack, untouched to the paint.
2019 rushing yards last year. And over 3,300 now for his career as Conrad Ukropina puts through the extra point.
Herbig came from the left guard, able to get a great lead block on the interior from A.J. Hotchkins.
Jake Bailey to kick it off after another quick possession. And for the second time, Nelson will kneel it. Brady Hoke told us, I'd light up and run at us all day long. Now here comes Justin Herbert for the third time, and he throws complete and connects to Pharaoh Brown into space into midfield where Reed finally catches him.
Ball handling in the backfield, moving the launch point for Justin Herbert, and there using Pharaoh Brown, making a play.
That time Herbert tried to keep, he lost it, and Solomon Thomas picked it up. A fumble recovery and a Stanford takeaway.
The key cog in what they do, snap in and snap out. It looked like Herbert was attempting to pull it out, and just that decisiveness, whether or not Royce Freeman is keeping the ball, penetration from Solomon Thomas, able to get the recovery.
Reagan Williams, the fullback, Bryce Love into the game for Stanford. And he'll get his first carry of the afternoon. And he finds space to the outside. Swipes a defender down to the 31-yard line. McCaffery and now Love.
Herbig again, left guard, pulling to the play side. We'll see counters. We'll see power plays. It's a defensive front from the Ducks. It's a little bit light in the britches. Bryce Love out in space, eluding tacklers.
And he remains in the backfield beside Christ. The tight end Schultz is in the slot to the top with 3 wide. Chris looking. Arcega Whiteside with the reception and the first down.
Have a chance to look at the defense, see if he needs to audibilize.
Here's Bryce Love. And he'll pick up 4 yards. The safety to the bottom of your screen, just standing inside the 5-yard line. Here's a second down. Chris keeps inside pitch to the tight end Schultz, and it's Schooler that has to come out to make the tackle.
This was pretty because watch Caleb Chris work towards the field side, fake the pitch outside, knowing the defense will go towards Bryce Love, and then Dalton Schultz on the inside, really known as, in my opinion, the best blocking tight end in line in the Pac-12 conference.
McLovin, McCaffery taking it. Bryce Love blocking. McCaffery, touchdown, Stanford, another.
Well, not only are we going to see the center, Jesse Burkett, work out, but then the defense will flow with Bryce Love as well. So the exterior of the defense continues to work laterally. Great lead block there from Burkett, and the Wildcat able to cut off of that. His vision is spotless, snap after snap.
Ukropina out of the hold of Lloyd is good, and it's now 14-0. Take a look at our USAA conference leaders. Christian McCaffrey, the first Pac-12 rusher to break the 1,000-yard barrier this year. Myles Gaskin might very well get there before your afternoon snack today.
We haven't seen the huge number that we maybe expected.
Nelson back deep. He's already knelt twice. Make it thrice this afternoon.
During that last Stanford offensive possession, the Ducks quarterback Justin Herbert was on the sidelines as normal, on the phone with David Yost, who's upstairs, talking with him about the last series. And as they did that, there were a couple of trainers around him who removed the glove of his left hand, put some sort of a Band-Aid, then a little bit of thicker padding over that left wrist, and then retaped the left wrist with some black tape. You may see that. And so not sure how serious that is, but again, talking with David Yost and having the left wrist attended to, we'll see how it affects him.
All right, thank you, Lewis. We'll keep an eye on it. Perhaps both wrists taped to disguise what's going on. Here's Royce Freeman running hard for 9 yards. Reed coming on the blitz, and he's the first man there. And he tosses Freeman for a loss of 5.
Without Zach Hoffpower in the lineup, he normally plays back in that second level in a lot of situations. Reed getting an opportunity in the backfield there.
Now Herbert on the move, floats it for Brown. Did he get in? No is the call. Crowd reacting here at Autzen to the replay. Let's see, are they right?
Certainly bobbles it initially, and it does look like he's continuing to bobble as he ends up stepping out of bounds. Maybe worth another look on the field. Good extension from Pharaoh Brown, pulling it in. grabs that maybe they feel
After
like should be
reviewing the play,
routine.
the ruling on the field is confirmed. It's an incomplete pass. The receiver was bobbling the ball when he came down out of bounds.
Does not have a touchdown on a punt return yet this year. And they try to take McCaffery to the sideline, and it accomplishes that. It's a good starting field position for Stanford. Went 3 and out on their first possession, and then it's been a healthy dose of the run game. Mondu among the Ducks right there. Second down and 9. Here's McCaffery again. And died there. Mondu chased him down. This is something we talked a lot about yesterday with Brady Hoke, the defensive coordinator.
You're basically trying to put Christian McCaffrey in a vice as you pursue. Went laterally very quickly, trying to overreach the defense.
Stanford, they turned the speakers up to 110 this week to prepare. Here's Chris to throw. Good pocket, lofts it. Arcega-Whiteside has got it. Arcega-Whiteside, his 5th touchdown of the year. And the explosive plays have belonged to the Cardinal. Their second 61-yard score of the game.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is able to get behind Tyree Robinson. So he sort of did a press bail look where he initially showed man like he was going to get his hands on him immediately. He doesn't. Arcega-Whiteside runs by him, and then Tyree Robinson immediately gets into a trot.
Ukrapina, 3 for 3 today. A 21-point first quarter. And Arcega-Whiteside now, Anthony, 14 catches, 5 touchdowns this year.
That's all he does. Catch touchdowns, pretty ball from Keller Crisp. These are types of plays that he's missed. He hasn't been consistently accurate with the deep ball. You see Brendan Schooler hustling over from the safety position.
Another touchback for Charles Nelson. Stanford has scored on 3 straight drives. And Herbert to start this in the air to Nelson. He's got it a first down. And with forward progress, a pickup of 17 yards.
And that was obviously called as a pull for him at the mesh point. He knows the entire time he's going to pull it out, pass the football. So just that quick fake in the backfield. That's the Ducks version of the play action, different from Stanford.
Carroll Brown lead blocking. Royce Freeman swallowed up. Solomon Thomas, the leading tackler on this Stanford team. He already has a fumble recovery today.
He does, because he spends a lot of time in a very tight alignment. You'll see him there in a 5 technique or a 4 technique.
Brown against the pressure over the middle of first down. Justin Reed had to pull him down.
You see him there, head up, tries to get cut off on the backside, able to play into the cut block, and then not only force Royce Freeman to cut back, but has the nimble nature to go make the play.
Here comes pressure off both edges, and that is slipped inside to Munt.
Tempo needs to be trusted. That word trust, the belief in their willingness to still go fast, even though they're down several scores. This is when the Ducks are at their best.
He pulls it in again, pumps, and Thomas is able to pull Herbert down as he picks up 5 yards.
Who plays in that tight alignment. It's really impressive, the fact that he's been able to get to the quarterback and get in the backfield as frequently.
Pressure from Alfieri up the middle, and it gets to Herbert too soon. We've seen Alfieri in the backfield a lot today, Anthony, already.
It's asking a lot of 4 freshman offensive linemen against one of the better defensive fronts in the country, is to call sprint to the field side. Utilize that. You've got space to work.
Herbert looking for Farrell Brown. Instead, it's Munt to first down. Slips a tackle. Can Johnny Munt make it? Alfieri can't catch him, and Oregon's on the board. 41 yards.
The versatility that 12 personnel, the 1 running back, 2 tight ends allows you, because you've got people where the defense may think you're indicating additional protection, then you spread them out. Johnny Munt, part of the reason he's been on the field so much more in recent games, not only because of what he can do for a freshman QB, but because he's got that type of skill.
You're from Modesto. It is going to be a quick pass, and reading it perfectly is Reed. On the 2.
Well, Justin Reed, you know he's been schooled up on it. Let's check him. Eyes in the backfield, seeing it work the entire way. Almost able to take that. Could have put 2 points on the board. Here, this nice intermediate pass to Johnny Munt. You got 2 tight ends on the field, and so that dictates what type of personnel you're likely to see from the opposing defense. Doesn't just move the chains, turns a first down into a touchdown. That big play from their offense, as we've seen over the years, can spark the Ducks D.
McCaffery's going to bring it out. He's got a head of steam. Tripped up. Nicely done by Fotu Leato, the special teams ace, on the tackle, and maybe he would have kept going. We mentioned senior day, Pharaoh Brown. What a great story for him to come back to 3 surgeries from the horrific knee injury 2 years ago, and his mother, Janetta Smith, a hospital nurse in Cleveland, who was a big part of his recovery, and he said a huge part of his life. The 2 of them, he says, it was me and her for my first 18 years, and it looked like, at least for the moment that we saw, they were able to keep the emotion together. Matt Wogan, McDowell, Daniels, Cameron Hunt on that offensive line, the lone veteran, and Munt, who was broken through.
We weren't sure if we'd see Johnny Reagan on the field today for Oregon, but he returned to the lineup as well.
So now can the defense step up? Christ finds McCaffery, who finds plenty of space. Gets another first down. A flag comes in here late. Kaspers was blocking for him.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 97. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Christ with time floats to McCaffery, who spins away and picks up 4, maybe 5 yards.
Because you know the shiftiness is coming.
Here's McCaffery. More space. Swain is able to get there, but too late. A first down.
The Cardinals have no problem continuing to run the power play over and over again until the opponent proves that they're in a position to stop it. Those pullers on the way. You'll get a double team at the point of attack play side. Pullers coming from the backside. A lot of mass and humanity working with McCaffery.
Love back into the game, and Chris gets blindsided. Die with the sack. The team leader, he's now over 4 sacks on the season, the freshman, and Chris never had a chance.
It's got to happen for the Ducks D. Troy Dye needs to be one of the players working his way towards the backfield. He's their best playmaker as far as people with the ability to force his will on the opponent.
5 yards on the sack, and that is the end of what has been a big play. First quarter, so Keller Christ will regain himself, and the Stanford offense will keep the ball. What is it a name? The Wildcat has many different names and many different programs. Of course, Tyler Gaffney led the Wild Gaff for Stanford, and it was an easy transition to the Wild Calf. But what about when you've got 2 guys, McCaffery and Bryce Love? Anthony Herron, that's when you get McLovin.
No doubt. Love it. I McLove it.
And they were together earlier on McCaffrey's second touchdown. In fact, it was Bryce Love that was the lead blocker. Here's a second down and 15. After the sack by Dye, it's Christ with time. Rector's first catch of the game. Takes it inside the 25. And whistles before this play gets off. A false start, a delay of game, pardon me.
Delay of game, offense, 5 yards penalty.
It's louder now. 3rd and 11 for the young quarterback. He'll keep it here. Able to elude one defender, but Dye there again with Johnny Reagan. How about the young man who has only played 4 games this year, and we were a little dubious when they said he's going to play. Got injured in the Washington State game with a leg injury. You see that big brace. We thought he was done for the year when that happened. 48-yard attempt for Ukropina. As long as 52, we hit one of those last week. This one with plenty of leg is up and through.
And think about it this way. If Washington loses today to USC and the Trojans come back and win the South Division, could be a potential. Pick it up after the return.
First return of the game for Nelson, and he gets whacked.
The reason Greg Wolf is so excited is because he knew what I was foreshadowing. If there's other carnage, if Washington loses today, there's other carnage, they will have an opportunity in the Pac-12 championship game. I'm not viewing the Dogs as counted out of the college football playoff picture as a one-loss team. Think about it. USC has finally gotten some of the respect for the 5-game winning streak they've gone on as the Trojans, so they're in the top 20. You lose to a top 20 team, you get revenge in the conference championship game. I think Washington could go down today and still work their way back into the top 4.
There's a second down carry. Royce Freeman there. Let's take a look back at the big hit by Brandon Simmons on the kick return.
Didn't look like it felt good at all. Not sure if the earth moved, but it kind of felt like it. I mean, Charles Nelson, as he ran up in there.
Four-man rush here. Herbert with time, and he throws complete. Carrington, he slips a tackle and then slips down, but he picks up a first down. He got away from Frank Buncombe.
Let's look at the quick arm action of Justin Herbert. How quickly the football gets from that little play action fake. The ball handling into the backfield, and then quickly on the release point.
Freeman this time breaks away from Thomas. He didn't start, we mentioned last week against USC. As Herbert throws, Farrell Brown complete, a first down. 23 yards.
This is a thing of beauty. And the fact that he's able to stand tall in the pocket, protection holds up just long enough, even though Joey Alfieri was on his way to getting home. But that quick release, the decisive arm action of Herbert got the ball there on time.
Brooks James now will take the carry into the game for Freeman. Stiffs arm away from a man, slips another tackle, and finally gets ridden out of bounds by Dallas Lloyd.
This is a nice change of pace. It's a good cut because he pressed the hole long enough. And even though Mustafa Branch was in position, Tony Brooks James, nice quick stiff arm, able to step away.
So now first and goal after the field goal from Stanford. Oregon trying to respond. Carrington, the man in motion. Brooks James bounces it outside, now cuts it back and gets stood up at the 6-yard line after a pickup of 3. The two of them that you just mentioned, those tight ends to the left of the formation. This is Royce Freeman feeling his way. Nowhere to go. Harrison Phillips stopping it up.
He's playing a lot of that zero technique nose right on the interior.
Jaylen Brown, the motion man. Herbert on third and goal. Pressure coming. Solomon might have drawn a flag. Herbert's going to run it in, but this likely is coming back. Riding his back down.
Offense number 54. 10-yard penalty. Replay third down.
So as they tend to Solomon Thomas, we'll step aside. Third and goal upcoming after the penalty.
A hush fell over Autzen Stadium as they saw, even though he's one of the opposing players, Solomon Thomas, one of the best players in college football, working the edge at that angle. And what he's trying to attain is a short corner. This is where his game has really improved, but that left foot, the outside foot, is where a lot of the brunt of the pressure of an edge rusher ends up being attained.
So here's a third and goal after the penalty, and that is intercepted. Joey Alfieri, after it was deflected by Dallas Lloyd in the end zone for a touchback. Unbelievable play.
We've seen Alfieri make a big imprint as an edge rusher in the game already. Here, he has to trail the running back, Tony Brooks James, out of the backfield as Dallas Lloyd comes in to help him out. Alfieri comes up with the fantastic catch.
His first career interception, and it's the circus type. This is one he'll never forget. Wow.
Well, he had no idea where the ball was at first. And Dallas Lloyd did a great job. He comes over under control at a good angle, deflects the ball. And Alfieri, ball ends up in his hands. He almost bobbles it away, but then able to maintain his body angle to stay in bounds as well.
So here's Bryce Love taking the direct snap. Reagan Williams lead blocking for him. Somehow he gets away from the initial tackle of Mondu and is able to get out across the 30, a first down. You're saying he doesn't get his own name for the formation?
Not yet, no.
Now this is Bryce Love, and he cuts it back. And he's got a first down before he's dragged down by Brendan Schooler.
You can tell the running backs are well coached because while all of them have the speed to just try and turn the corner and be impatient with the hole, they run through the smoke. They're willing to trust that the block will get there, and they will press the hole, continuing to run vertical. Sometimes it means a 3-yard gain. Sometimes it means a more explosive run.
Christ with pressure coming, and he gets hit as he delivers too low. Rex Manu.
And Manu, while being one of the bigger defensive linemen Oregon has, he's very mobile, does a great job penetrating, especially interior gaps, even though he's playing with that club on his right hand. I've been through that.
Over 305 pounds. And it's now second down at 10. And movement early up front from Stanford.
False start. Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's A.T. Hall. Chris looking that way, and he's got Arcega-Whiteside, who with contact is able to make the catch. We have Tyree Robinson down on the field as we take a look at the replay. He's number 2.
Robinson's been right in position on virtually every grab that Arcega-Whiteside has made.
He's dominating the moment. First for Oregon, their cornerback Tyree Robinson, who just went down, was helped off the field. He is now back on the far side. And then for Stanford, number 90, Solomon Thomas, who was under the trainer's tent, came out of there with ice on his left ankle. He's now sitting with the bench, but doesn't look like he'll be going back in. Guy?
All right, thank you, Lewis. So a couple ankles. The issue right now is Chris gets rid of the ball, or tries to. Mondu thinks he had him down for a sack. It's second down and 10.
Well, I'm not sure he's wrong. I mean, when you get home on a rush and you nearly have the quarterback down for a sack, you want credit for it. It looks like, to me, the left knee of Keller Chris may have been down before the football got released.
Reagan Williams, the fullback, leading the way for Christian McCaffery, left just shy of the 40, a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and long. So that's an immediate signal to them. That pulling guard's an immediate signal.
With how they're operating defensively today, yes. Not in all schemes, though.
Tight end at the top. In the slot is Dalton Schultz. Rector at the bottom. Chris with time. Slips it to Arcega-Whiteside. Very close to a first down. He's got that. And he's down to the 25-yard line. Brendan Schooler on the tackle.
Far more impressed with the mobility of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I mean, he's only a freshman, hasn't played a lot of football, redshirt freshman from an eligibility standpoint. You know, we haven't seen him show this type of run after catch very frequently this season. He's been more of a red zone target using that big frame.
Great high school athlete in the state of South Carolina, where he was Mr. Gatorade. Gatorade All-State player, track and field athlete, a basketball player. He was All-State there. Chris with time, he'll throw it over the middle. This time it's the tight end, Dalton Schultz, very near the first down marker.
It looks to me like Keller Chris mentally knows where to go with the football. He's just not trusting his eyes yet, and it's making things just a little harder than they need to be in the progression and his growth as a passer. Again, 3rd career start. These are things that will, you would anticipate come more and more with time. But Trenton Irwin was right there on the hash waiting for the football. There's an opportunity to deliver an easier throw early in that last snap.
Bryce Love is at the top of the screen as a decoy. McCaffery is third. No, it got broken up. Arian Springs just into the game for the injured Tyree Robinson, saving a touchdown.
I'll tell you what, it's a very simple thing that Arian Springs did, and all it required was effort, just finishing the play. You got last year's AP Player of the Year looking like an easy touchdown is there. Watch Springs come in at the last second before McCaffery crossed the goal line, rake the football away with the right hand. Now the Ducks defense has an opportunity to play another down.
Need to get down to the 4-yard line for the first, so McCaffery in space away from Springs. Breaks another. Christian McCaffery near the line to gain, and 3rd and short upcoming. He just takes so many hits.
Oregon knew coming in they had to get population to the football when Christian McCaffery was there. No doubt, as the Snakes are in pursuit, the Ducks in this case, McCaffery as the iguana on the move.
Arcega-Whiteside at the bottom. He has a touchdown today. He's caught touchdowns on 4 fades, but David Shaw is going to come running down the sideline to call a time. After the Stanford timeout, Arcega-Whiteside matched up at the bottom with Arian Springs. I need to get to the 4 to pick up the first. And now David Shaw is going to call another timeout. Arcega-Whiteside has come out of the game after that timeout. Christian McCaffery is not on the field.
Well,
Oregon's defense.
This isn't full ogre. This is more their jumbo look.
Nick Wilson wears 96. He is the added, or one of the added offensive linemen at the bottom. And now whistles blow. Is Oregon taking a timeout?
Oregon, their first charge timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second charge timeout.
I think does Oregon believe they were not alerted that they needed to come out of their timeout? David Shaw just took back-to-back timeouts, and now Oregon has taken one. Mark Helfrich is hot about it. They had players streaming onto the field as Stanford lined up. Will we have a 3rd and 3 play run? We've had 3 straight timeouts. Chris looking to Rector, too easy. Touchdown Stanford.
And I referenced how I felt like Oregon's offense should move the launch point more frequently for their quarterback, Herbert. Here, very nice movement of the launch point, just a sprint action.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 3. 15-yard penalty. This is number 3's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game.
Out of the hold of Lloyd, 94 in a row for Ukropina, and it's 31-6 Stanford.
Beyond the hash marks is our weekly trek away from the field for important stories, and perfect timing off the Michael Rector touchdown. This Cardinal wide receiver is taking full advantage of his Stanford experience away from the game, exchanging his jersey for a lab coat, preparing for a future in medicine. Rector is a human biology major, and for the last 2 summers, he spent some time in the stem cell lab research program. He is aspirating a petri dish to get millions of cells at the bottom that needed to be counted. One of the many things that Michael Rector is doing in a graduate level, state-of-the-art stem cell lab program. Remember, he's an undergrad doing that, all to prepare for his future and those days after he gets done doing what he's doing today, which is catching touchdowns for the Cardinal. Pretty good stuff.
Great, Lewis. You think a football playbook is complicated? Then you watch what Michael Rector does in his free time. The time it takes to be an elite-level athlete, Anthony. You'd understand if there wasn't much free time. As keeping it from going it out of bounds is Nelson to bring it back up. He's got a good return here for him, and he'll get out to midfield.
For the Oregon Ducks, it's Justin Herbert. He's had a big day passing the football from a yardage standpoint, 173 with a touchdown. The Cardinal defense, 7 QB pressures, 2 takeaways, one of those down in the red zone, taking points off the board. 2 different 61-yard touchdown runs. One of those courtesy of the Wildcat.
They've had 2 plays of over 60 yards. They had 60 yards passing all of last week against Oregon State. After Nelson's return, it's Royce Freeman getting pursued towards the sideline and getting pushed out of bounds after maybe a gain of 1. Alameen Murphy, the cornerback, eventually pushed him out.
Well, just think about the last offensive series, how that finished for the Ducks. Throwing the interception into the end zone where they're thinking maybe there's a touchdown opportunity. So you go from maybe 24-13 or 24-14 to now 30-1-6.
Throw back to Farrell Brown, who patiently waited for a block. And we'll see where they mark this ball. Very close to that first down mark. It looks like he got it. So here's a first down at 10. And it's Freeman again, getting a block to the sideline. Royce Freeman is caught down at the 2-yard line.
God, this is where first downs have the potential to turn into touchdowns. Look at Jaylen Brown outside. Great cut off of the block from Jaylen Brown by Royce Freeman. He's tight-roping the sideline, but the hustle from the Cardinal run him down.
Royce Freeman, 1 touchdown away from moving into the conference's top 10 for scores. Did he get it here? Yes, he did. Royce Freeman into the end zone, his 9th of the year.
That's a quality finish to the drive, because you see Oregon at the skill position, and they're known as a group that's able to block very well in space. They stalk block the defensive backs. Royce Freeman picked up chunk yardage and then able to finish the drive.
Under replay review.
As he takes the give from Herbert, Freeman immediately going north and south, driving his legs. The elbow is down. The question will be, as the elbow comes down, whether or not the football itself has crossed the stripe. Has he just pierced any portion of the stripe?
Which is good.
And who can't use more help?
And who can't?
Elbow down there.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of a touchdown stands.
So not enough confirmed would mean they absolutely looked at it and felt comfortable with it. Stands means not enough to make a decision that would change the ruling on the field. They had a fumbled snap in an extra point situation last week. This one's clean. And so 13 on the board now for the Ducks.
Let's check the big play that happened on the drive that got them down inside the 5. Royce Freeman going north and south, and you see the bodies of the Oregon Ducks. Maybe they're not driving defenders all the way back, but stalk blocking, getting in the way, allowing one of the more talented runners in college football the opportunity to crease the defense. And let's go on spec, taking a closer look at Royce Freeman and his NFL potential. I believe he's built for durability. When you look at the height, the thickness in the thighs, he's a player that's capable as a pass receiver as well. He doesn't need to go out into the slot and start running routes, but his hands have been showcased throughout his career, and he can punish tacklers. He maybe hasn't consistently done that with the vision at all times, but once he gets north and south, I believe, by comparison to another former Duck in Jonathan Stewart, who's got a very similar frame, right there around 230 pounds, 5'11", very similar in build, similar in running, potential for a similar type of career for Royce Freeman at the next level.
So now it's his defense's turn with Christian McCaffery back deep. And the kick will send McCaffery backwards and out of bounds. We saw the numbers there on Royce Freeman as Stanford will start at the 25, but we saw the numbers there on Royce Freeman. The 14 carries, already more than he had last week. We've mentioned it a couple times. He did not start that game in place. Tony Brooks-James got the opportunity, but one thing the coaches told us this week, that Royce is Tony's biggest fan. They thought he handled not starting very well, and it seems as though he's responded to whatever challenge they gave him.
We think about the level of humility that's necessary for a guy who rushed for over 1,300 yards as a true freshman, over 1,800 yards last season as a true sophomore, All-American, Heisman candidate coming into the season. He's been banged up throughout the year and got to the point where even though he was healthy, his teammates started over him, and to be able to handle that well shows you the type of individual Royce Freeman is.
Here's the wild calf. The quarterback, Keller Chris, is at the bottom of the screen, direct to McCaffery, and he'll follow the blocks of a fullback in a line, clearing space for 9 yards.
But when you have that runner behind center taking the direct snap, now the defense is outflanked from a numbers standpoint. It's difficult to have enough bodies to account for that extra runner.
McCaffery churning. Man, he is such a load. It's funny to hear you talking about on spec with Royce, to hear people talk about, is he big enough? Is he strong enough? He takes hit after hit after hit and always seems to be going forward whenever he does go down.
Both these guys, both Royce Freeman and Christian McCaffery, I've been covering them since they were in high school. Both played in the U.S. Army Bowl. McCaffery was maybe not as physically mature as Royce Freeman from a size and thickness standpoint, but certainly from a schematic, from a technical standpoint, extremely mature with his vision and his all-around purpose ability.
On first down, chasing from the backside, Justin Hollins. Wilson and Schultz, the two men that move the formation to the near side to pave a way for McCaffery, who gets near midfield, whistled down at the 49-yard line.
Let's go on spec with Christian McCaffery. As I mentioned, the NFL comparison, LaDainian Tomlinson, elite short area vision was just on display on that snap. Pressing the hole, not needing to bounce to look for the big play. That all-purpose reliability, because you can utilize him in so many different ways, and enough big play speed. He's not a 4-3 guy, as some people say, but he doesn't need to be. Being a 4-5 guy is plenty of speed to hurt defenses when you've got his type of vision.
He's over 100 yards for this game now at 103 with 3 yards to go for the first. Chris looking, Rector, who just caught the touchdown, a first down reception. It was Arion Springs in coverage.
Let's check the AP Player of the Year from 2015 in pass protection. He's got a linebacker coming off the edge right there in perfect position, hands inside, and then drives him away from his quarterback.
And now a little tempo for Stanford. Chris just dumps it over the middle, and there's Schultz again finding a spot for 9, maybe 10 yards. And it is Johnny Reagan, who has not played since the Washington State game, was injured in that game. That left leg, you see the big brace. He returned on this senior day. That Washington State game was back October 1st, and they thought at the time that he might be done for the year, and so it was certainly a thrill when he came back on this day.
They've said that Johnny Reagan has worked really hard, spent a lot of extra time with the trainers, getting treatment, trying to get himself back as close to playing as possible. It was certainly a pleasant surprise to see him able to return to the lineup here. He's a guy who transferred from Cal after his freshman season, so he hasn't been here for, 5 years throughout his career and being here in Eugene that entire time. But it didn't take long before he turned into one of the leaders, especially it was necessary this season for their defense.
Pressure coming. McCaffery runs right to where the blitz came from for a first down inside the 15-yard line.
Puller able to just seal that edge away. The oncoming blitzer from the outside, Troy Dye. David Wright does a good job wheeling him out of the hole. McCaffery, of course, makes the proper cut.
McCaffery has 2 touchdowns. Irwin blocks, and McCaffrey's in again. 3 scores.
It's just uncanny when you watch the ability of Christian McCaffery to cut off of these blocks. The offensive line is just dominating the point of attack. Then as he advances on the second level, able to continue to have forward momentum moving as he's cutting laterally.
For Stanford, here's Rapina to make it 38. And he does. And keep in mind, Stanford's going to have the ball to start the second half as well.
Johnny Caspers on the move. Jesse Burkett on the move. Elephants on parade. Moving defenders out of the way. No bodies available as Christian McCaffery gets into the paint yet again.
For the most part, Nelson's been pinned back on kickoff by Jake Bailey, and that happens again. Here's what's still to come. Here's Royce Freeman breaking a tackle, still running hard. And Freeman again, it's Reed that has to come chase him down. Herbert. Tony Brooks-James. And he'll go out of bounds, shy of a first down. And again, the Autzen crowd thought that maybe a hit came late, and now a flag is down. Dallas Lloyd and Sean Barton, a lot of chatting.
Play, personal foul, defense number 29. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It was 9 on the game plus 15. That's a big gainer for Oregon.
One of the things I normally love about the game with Greg Lloyd is that he usually plays under control there. He initially contacted the runner inbounds, but then as they were both out of bounds, he still slung him to the ground. That's where the flag came.
Oregon getting down the field very quickly here. And still have 2 of their timeouts. Now Herbert slips away. And now he'll slide down, gives himself up at the 20-yard line is where that slide began.
Herbert, as he looked towards the sideline, he saw there was an opportunity here, one-on-one at the top of the screen. You watch him operate from the pocket, and there is where he knows he wants to try to deliver the football to, because as Greg Lloyd starts towards the top of the screen, there's Pharaoh Brown. Brown had the angle on Dallas Lloyd, but Herbert didn't cut it loose. And really, if you throw that towards the sideline, maybe it even ends up out of bounds as an incomplete pass, but the clock stops if you do it that way, as opposed to having to use one of your final remaining timeouts from taking off and running.
2nd down and 2 coming up. Standing beside Herbert, Pharaoh Brown's at the bottom of the screen, 3 to the top. Herbert looking that way, pressure coming, and he just slings that ball as he was nearly sacked down.
Well, to bring additional blitzers.
And whistles blow this day. Stanford does not have a sack yet today.
Before the ball was snapped, the previous play is now under replay review. The ruling on the field was an incomplete pass.
Could he have been sacked is the question. And the answer to that question is?
After review, the quarterback's knee was down. The play is dead at the 24-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down. Oregon is taking their 3rd and final timeout, so the game clock will start on the snap on the next play.
So a loss of 5. And Phillips does get the sack.
Because
he's not using their 3rd final timeout, so the game clock will begin on the ready for play.
Because Carrington has exceptional body control, and so if you can get a back shoulder opportunity in throwing the football, then maybe that's their best shot.
12 seconds.
2 seconds on the clock.
I'm surprised. I'm not completely following the logic here. If they do kick the field goal on third down,
maybe if they didn't have a timeout, you'd understand a little. So now they are going to use a timeout. Okay, so because the clock. So now they're taking the timeout because the clock was going to start on the ready for play after the sack instead of on the snap after the incompletion.
I'm just surprised they wouldn't have at least attempted a pass with 12 seconds remaining in the half on third down. You try a pass towards the end zone. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. Assuming there's not a turnover on third down, then you come back and attempt a field goal. Now, we have seen them make turnovers here in the red zone in the first half, but at this point, you're down 25 points.
We've seen Royce Freeman, you don't necessarily have to throw with the timeout. We've seen him break long runs in this game. He had a 37-yarder earlier.
But Mark Helfrich has certainly taken his fair share of criticism for being too aggressive in certain situations. Here he takes the more conservative approach.
41 for Aiden Schneider. Out of the hold of Ali. And that, with plenty of leg, is going to miss to the right. And so a bit of a convoluted last 15 seconds for Oregon results in no points.
You told us this week that explosive plays would be really important. Your thoughts on how you got off early? 3 of those with Christian McCaffery touchdowns.
Well, that's what special players do. And he's not one of those guys that gets run down late in the year. He was banged up early, but he's gotten fresher and fresher. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside makes a great play also. Our guys are playing really high level right now.
And then the flip side of that is that you have to control their explosive plays. They crawl back into the game. What will be your message here at the half?
Well, that's the thing, is not to give them anything. They've got some great players over there with speed and explosiveness. We have all the respect for the skill positions they have up there. We have to continue to play our game.
All right, super. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Time now for the Can-Am game summary. 14 points off 2 Oregon turnovers. Solomon Thomas a fumble recovery. Joey Alfieri an interception, his first of the career. Royce Freeman's had a very nice game, but it does not compare to what Christian McCaffrey's done so far. 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lewis Johnson told us before the game, he showed us the video that Stanford put together, but we've put it back together again. Anthony Herron, just highlights from this game.
Phenomenal work from the video department in the truck. The iguana that is Christian McCaffrey. The yardage he's put up throughout his career has just been unreal, and we've seen it on display again today. The Snakes, trying to catch the wild cat, have not been able to get it done for the Ducks.
That's been fantastic. Anthony Herron, Guy Haberman here with you at the half. Lewis Johnson on the sideline.
Galapagos Island?
That was the Galapagos Islands.
Okay.
That's right. My only question is, what animal would be in your college highlight tape?
Ooh, that's a good question. Maybe a gazelle?
Gazelle.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would match the video. But he's been fantastic.
He really has. Yeah.
McCaffery, you think about what he's been able to do today. And it's crazy, Anthony, because you say, all right, he's getting hot. What does that mean? You don't expect, it feels like, even when you expect him to be great, it's hard to fully predict the stuff he does.
In addition to Christian McCaffrey getting hot, the offensive line of the Stanford Cardinal have gotten their game on today as well. And they've really dominated, not just moving the Oregon defensive front backwards, but they've been able to operate with precision. These counters, these power plays where it requires back blocks, double teams at the point of attack, these pullers. And one of the ways that Stanford pulls is with their shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage. So there's a precision to how the offensive line is executing now that really wasn't there early in the season, even with a healthy Christian McCaffrey.
And Stanford, who lost the toss to start the game, will get the ball first, and McCaffrey will let it go out of the back of the end zone.
With Mark Helfrich coming out and ask him what could they build on here in the second half, and he said, well, look, we've got 313 yards of total offense, but only 13 points, so we got to find a way to score, but we have to fix the drops, the penalties, the missed assignments, all those things that have been giving them trouble. And on defense, the misfits in their defense, which have led to some big breakaway missed tackles, and then we saw those crazy runs. Now, his quarterback, Justin Herbert, we saw him in the first half take some big shots like that one. Coach said that he is okay. And the biggest thing for this young quarterback is to trust what he sees. And he says sometimes that's hard for a young QB.
All right, Lewis, it's defense up first. Christian McCaffrey pushed backwards just as he was on the first carry of the game. Khalil Oliver in pursuit.
The advent of a lot of the freshmen leaving high school who arrive early, get spring football in. Herbert's just been with this team since the fall.
Here's McCaffrey again. And again, the Oregon defense ready and able to stop him up. 5 on the play clock. 4-man rush. Chris to Irwin. He can't bring it in. It would not have been first down yardage anyway. Jake Bailey to punt from the shadow of his own end zone. And this has got some good hang to it. And it's fair caught, and then it hits the back of an Oregon player, and it's recovered by Stanford at the 40-yard line. Malik Lovett gets hit square in the numbers after the fair catch signaled by Dylan Mitchell.
And Lovett, of course, having no idea where the ball is, but you have to be able to get eyes towards the return man. He's so focused on trying to block Brandon Simmons, has no idea where the returner's at. Not only the waving of the fair catch, but some verbal communication could be necessary there.
This is the first and only sideline morning of the game.
I believe that was on the Oregon sideline. And Stanford did not penetrate that distance on the kick protection. And so another turnover, the third of the game, and it leads right back to McCaffery spinning inside the 25-yard line. Chris, it's McCaffery that picks up the pressure, and again it's Schultz he's finding space in between the hashes over the middle today.
To me, he's one of the most effective tight ends in the Pac-12. He's a dominant blocker at the point of attack, but he's got this type of ability. It's just about the quarterback position, continuing to grow to utilize the tight end position as we've seen in past years.
Love to the left, McCaffery to the right, and Chris is going to keep it, and then he's going to loft it into trouble. No, it gets to Rector. Touchdown over the fingertips of Ugo Amadi. A flag, however, is down.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, the defender hit the quarterback below the knees. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
And Ukropina makes it 21 points off turnovers here in this game for Stanford. A roughing penalty on the last touchdown. That's why Stanford kicked from midfield. Let's take another look at it.
Well, it didn't stop Keller Christ from being able to leave the pocket. You'll see quick ball action here into the backfield as Christian McCaffrey comes across. Rector will work the 7 route just towards the corner. So the defense for a moment will see the reigning AP Player of the Year. And then as Chris leaves the pocket, he throws that teardrop in a very accurate pass as Rector works towards that back corner of the end zone. There you see Mondu coming in, hitting the quarterback low. Flag comes out. But the pass, I believe, was probably the best we've seen Keller Christ throw all day.
And so now his defense on the field. And it's Royce Freeman. Saw some progression last week that doesn't show up in the box score. He thought he made some quicker decisions. Obviously the numbers as Freeman battles to bring up third down and short, the numbers significantly better, Anthony. Are you seeing any steps today? Obviously that throw, as you said, the best you've seen from him.
I am. I see progress from Keller Christ on the field. You know, there's still some inconsistency with mechanics. You see him grow from one week to the next. His knowledge of the offense, his comfort of delivering the football.
First down, Pharaoh Brown, and then he pulls up, grabbing his hamstring. And this team will go back to the site of that Rice-Eccles Stadium next week.
It's a one-handed grab, a very nice catch from Pharaoh Brown as he turns to head upfield. And, of course, a non-contact look.
As they say, not they. Don Essig, the big PA announcer here. And a big first down after Pharaoh Brown helped off the field. Jalen Brown on the reception.
I'm going to say something here the Ducks fans are going to get angry at me about, but there's a lot of things about Justin Herbert that remind me of Marcus Mariota. Just the quick, sharp throwing motion, the way he delivers the football. He's a little bit bigger than Marcus, certainly not as mobile, but there's things that you're very comfortable with in thinking that he's got big-time potential.
Now we see Pharaoh Brown, who was holding his hamstring as he walked off the field under his own power, now headed towards the locker room. You see him grab again.
And part of the difficulty for a quarterback, especially in this system, this spread option where you make pre-snap reads and a lot of post-snap reads as well. But the time it takes for the information that you process to go from your brain and then out through your arms and through your legs, it's so key in helping the tempo that we know Oregon likes to operate at it's key in all that decision making that's going on for you to be as efficient as possible. It's tough duty. And for this kid, Justin Herbert, who's from right here in Eugene, Oregon, only been around this team for a few months, I've been very impressed.
Nice blitz pickup by Tony Brooks-James as Palmer was bearing down towards the end zone for Munt. Alfieri came in with no picks. He's got 2 today in the end zone. Unbelievable.
Justin Herbert saw the one-on-one opportunity outside between an outside linebacker and a tight end. So Johnny Munt, at 6'4", 240 pounds, looks like Alfieri's in trouble, able to come up with the pick.
76 field moment, not one, but 2 interceptions for the Portland native, Joey Alfieri, in the end zone today.
Alfieri found himself in a similar position 2 different times here, matched up with a 6'4" tight end, and Munt looked like he had the advantage at first, but the interior position from Alfieri able to box him out and then rip the football away.
Stanford has converted all 3 of its previous turnovers into points. That was the 4th turnover of the game.
Amongst the more difficult to play within their scheme because they asked them to do a lot.
Christ will keep, but Swain is going to bring him down behind the line of scrimmage after a loss of 2. And now movement, and I think David Shaw is going to take a timeout to avoid the delay.
Timeout. Stanford, their first charge timeout of the half.
Rector and Irwin at the bottom. They take one of the fullbacks and one of the tight ends off the field from the previous sequence, and they give it to Bryce Love right up the gut into space, and Stanford's been running all day across midfield. Used, relatively speaking, but when he's carried, he's gotten huge yardage.
And it's been clinic tape from the Stanford offensive line. You know, early in the season, there were some new bodies in the lineup for the Cardinal. People weren't completely sure whether or not Stanford would be able to run the football as we'd seen in the past. But having guys in the lineup and even growing the lineup with the likes of Nate Herbig, Brandon Fanica when he was healthy, they've got so many big bodies that they've continued to roll into the lineup. They've gotten better and better throughout the season.
Into the game now, in the middle to the right, Tywan Thomas, number 13, the receiver. Chris is going to pull this down, a flag down, and that pass gets deflected.
Holding offense number 20, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Chris, here's McCaffery. Again, he gets away, and it's just more of what you said. Get him the ball. Sit there at 2nd and 8. Fumbled snap, Chris, and now it'll be 3rd down as Jalen Jelks, the sophomore, is able to jump on him.
Very low snap. Kelly Chris does the right thing. Recover the football, get on it. Don't make a bad play worse. This is 3rd in Portland. This is Jalen Jelks, an opportunity. He's really stepped his game up lately as an edge rusher. Let's see him get after the quarterback.
He's coming at the top as Chris steps up. Contact made. Arcego Whiteside. He's been a big play maker today. His 5th catch of the game. He's well over 100 yards, but another flag. Hold on.
Holding offense number 75. 10-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
So coming from the right side of your screen, as Hollins working against A.T. Hall. Does a nice job. Hollins decreases his blocking surface by just dipping that left shoulder. When you can dip the inside shoulder against an offensive tackle, very difficult for their big bodies to try to rush down at that same pad level you are as an edge rusher.
One thing you'll have to say for Oregon, the penalties have been an issue all year long. Not in a major way today. Here's McCaffery, and he takes a big shot. That was Swain.
Let's check this out in live motion. Oh. And slow motion. Ooh. Good grief. Way heavy on him, Jimmy Swain.
Heavy try to drop this one in. Fair catch at the 20. What can Oregon get going here? A duck moving like Christian McCaffrey. Free space and easy riding today. A 3-touchdown day for Christian McCaffrey, and he's been the man that's led the way. He hit the first home run, 61 yards to start this game with a score, and Stanford was off and running. After the punt now, it's Herbert back to the field, and Munt can't hang on. a little bit of first down, and it's incomplete.
You know, the last ball on the last series, it was intercepted by Alfieri. It was a bit underthrown, of course, but a lot of drops here today from the Ducks.
The result of the play is a third down. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 78, pulling the player off of the pile. Half distance to the goal, third down.
There's been no shortage of intensity for Cameron Hunt at any point this season. There's that fine line that you walk, and he certainly had his own share of dead ball penalties this year.
He comes out of the game. Another flag down on 3rd and 19, and that's complete to Darren Carrington.
Personal foul, chop block, number 28 and number 79. Half the distance to the goal, replay third down.
Shuffled the offensive line a bit. Yes, and Voller is the player who ends up picking up the flag. He's there on the interior and actually called it on Voller, but it really should have been on Throckmorton, as I thought, 54.
So 3rd and 24. That's now 6 penalties on the day. And here's Freeman. And he gets pulled down.
Offensive line and defensive backfield, I would say, have been the two key cogs with a lot of the penalties the Ducks have picked up this season.
McCaffery, fair catch at the 44. Greg Wolf in San Francisco. Been blown by, and really it was early. Stanford established everything that Oregon feared most today. They'd be able to move the ball at will on the ground. That's too high for Rector, who does have a couple touchdowns today.
In fact, they've got Daniel Marks back in at fullback. It's the point in time where Stanford can get into that personality they like.
They ran 29 times to finish the game last week. Here's Bryce Love. He had a big run moments ago and another as he just keeps churning.
See, Johnny Casper's their most experienced lineman from the right guard position. Works down the line. Shoulders are parallel to the line of scrimmage. Normally you'll see offensive guards turn and run and their shoulders to be perpendicular. The reason he does it in that situation is to make sure if any penetration, any leakage comes, as all those down blocks are coming with that blocking scheme, then he's in a better body position to try and pick it up.
This is Cameron Scarlett with Bryce Love at the bottom of the screen, taking the direct snap. Second carry, and Scarlett just got tripped up.
Those big bodies, this is the point in the ball game where their will. And one of those guys, one of the guys with the raw thighs, meaning that just thick in the lower body. So a guy like Nate Herbig, a true freshman, who's already well over 300 pounds. They call him Big Island. So for him, as he breaks the huddle, the guy who's only been starting for a few weeks now, but he breaks the huddle with all these other big bodies next to him. And then you got the guys with the high pockets on the other side, the thin lower bodies of the Oregon Ducks. And so now that you got this huge lead late in the third quarter, you know Stanford is likely to run the football in most situations, but it's difficult to do anything about it.
This is Scarlett again. And Brennan Scarlett puts his head down, and he's got a first down.
Thighs where your legs are so thick, and everything's just rubbing together down there.
Here's Scarlett on the pitch, nicely blocked up, and he's going to score. Touchdown Stanford, and they break the 50-point barrier.
Raw thighs, moving high pockets against their will with extreme prejudice. This is the point in the ball game where that offensive line for Stanford just breaks the huddle, licking their chops.
Luke Rapina from Pasadena, 52. Let's go down to the field. Lewis.
Hey, Guy, so far this season, we've seen several players with some impressive hurdle moves. And, you know, they become automatic replays, and we love slow motion because, oh, look at that. You can just really enjoy the move, and sometimes we like to be critics. And you got to see this one. Check out Christian McCaffery elevating on this play against Oregon State last week, and the helicopter crash to the turf. Now, to be clear, this is what hurdling should look like. Look at the top of your screen on the right in the yellow. That is Oregon wide receiver Devin Allen earlier this summer at Hayward Field, a few miles from here, winning the U.S. Olympic trials in the 110-meter hurdles. He got to the Olympic finals and finished 5th. which is an incredible accomplishment. And Devin Allen is good enough to come over here as he's dealing with this injury. I know, first of all, you had the ACL, the surgery. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm about 6 weeks out. Feeling good, moving around a little bit better. I'm starting to lift again, so I'm starting to feel better for sure.
And you know, when you watch some of the other players try and hurdle, this is what they should be going over, which these are about 42 inches high, about the same height as your kitchen countertop. What are the most fundamental elements of hurdling? You can't do it.
Really just jumping high enough, especially in a football game with a defender. The best way to hurdle is when they go low. So usually the bigger guys like tight ends, big running backs get the chance to hurdle. Usually someone like me about 190 is not going to have to go, the defender's not going to go low on me, so I'm not going to get the chance to hurdle. And that's why I don't hurdle anybody yet.
Yeah, hang tight. Let's go for the kick.
All right, the short one. Which will get it right back out to about the 25-yard line. Dylan Mitchell shoved out and back down to Lewis.
Well, Guy, it's the dive which is the most important thing, right? You got to get that lead leg up, right? And then the dive.
Exactly. I think with that, if you don't get the lead leg up, they're going to catch you. You're going to get flipped usually. So a lot of those guys, they kind of mastered that. You see, like some of the guys in the NFL, Ezekiel Elliott, you could tell he was actually a hurdler in high school.
Right.
So you can see some of those guys that do it right. And a lot of guys just go for it, and sometimes it's natural. Maybe I should have picked track.
And when you get back on the field, do you think that's something you'll be doing, trying to hurdle over people, or do you leave that for the track?
Yeah, we'll see. I try to stay away from that just because I don't want to get flipped. Yeah.
All right. When will you be back, by the way?
A few months, probably about 4 or 5 more months. I'll be back and ready to go.
All right, Devin, we look forward to seeing that. Good luck with the continued recovery.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, Devin Allen, Olympian for life in the 110-meter hurdles. Guy?
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lewis. A flag down here as Tony Brooks-James breaks it outside. And while we wait on this penalty, and obviously Tony Brooks-James very unhappy that is going to get wiped out.
Holding, offense number 83, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
And I will say this, and I mean this sincerely, Anthony, it's so cool to walk around in a track and field hotbed like Eugene. You walk around with Lewis Johnson, the number of people that come up to him and want to talk track and field. When we walked around the facility yesterday, the hurdles look too high. If the hurdle looks too high and you don't think you got 13.31, 110-meter hurdle and you like Devin did, maybe try and go match Lewis's personal record in the 800-meter. Anthony, it was 1:47.
Wow.
And it looks like he can still do it. Here's Herbert after the penalty, racing out of bounds across the 40 and picking up a first down. No flags.
You actually had my personal best in the 800? I'm impressed.
Yeah.
And I'm also depressed because I'd love to lie and say that I ran 145.00, but because of instant information, I can't do that. So you got me. That's the correct personal best.
My question is, how close is Lewis? How close can he get right now? Because it looks like he can still run a 1:47.
I saw Lewis in the weight room. Saw him in the weight room yesterday. He still got it.
Here's Herbert stepping out. Had so much on the line. And although it's not a Rose Bowl.
That's the end of the third quarter.
Or the Pac-12 North. Or a top 15 ranking on the line today. So much expectation coming in. And it's just been a tough one for the Ducks and a great one for the Cardinals. Back inside the booth, Anthony Herron, Guy Haberman. There's no secret about brute force, and Stanford has exerted will today.
The hammer has met the nail at Autzen Stadium today, and the hammer has most certainly been the offensive line of the Stanford Cardinal.
To begin the fourth quarter, Stanford's defense. And that's with half of this game being played. As Tyler gets in for the sack.
They had it well in hand.
Ian Wheeler. And a fair catch made by Jay Tyler. First time into the game. On a beautiful day in Eugene. 200. And he's throwing here. The first possession of the fourth quarter for Stanford. Second and short. Here's Scarlett. First down. For Cameron Scarlett to move the chains and out to midfield. Scarlett again. And maybe a half yard. Of course, yesterday was Veterans Day. It's never too late to say thank you for all of those who have served and allow us to have the kind of fun we're having today. And some of our crew members with military service as well. Mike Scoville, our EVS operator, served in the Navy. David Theobald on camera in the Marines. Jory Randall, utility in the Army. Steve Kinney, our mobile unit driver in the Army. And how about also the son of our graphics producer, Jason Armeno, Bill Armeno, becoming a Marine. This is fantastic. So thank you to all of you on this crew.
Jason Armenio, I have no idea how he has a son old enough to already be in service.
He hasn't aged.
Certainly, if he has, he's aged well. I'll say that.
Defies math.
I'll give a quick shout out to my dad as well. Right. Robert Heron served in Vietnam in the infantry, came back in one piece.
That's fantastic. Lewis Johnson, his father served as well. 2 weeks before his graduation day. Got the letter, came back, and became a lawyer. Father Dan in the Air Force. Thanks, Dad. And Scarlett.
I can't wait to get to Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks to tell my dad thank you in person for his service to the military and the Army, and specifically, and you mentioned it, undergrad student at Prairie View A&M, and 2 weeks before graduation, he gets his draft notice and he goes and he serves. And so thanks to him, and as you mentioned up there, thanks to all of the veterans around the country. We so appreciate you all, everybody.
Well said. 4th down and 1.
Full on ogre. 4-point stances, crouching down.
And it gets stopped up
at the LOS. Right there, line of scrimmage, not much movement there. The Caspers pulls, he's driving, but there's already penetration from where the puller was able to leave his space. That's precisely what we talked about earlier.
Here, of course, Oregon came back from a 21-point deficit at Cal earlier this year. Freeman again's carried a heavy load today. That's now his 20th carry. 16 straight games that Oregon's been in a game with 65-plus combined points. That's an FBS record. However, their record of scoring at least 20 points in 39 straight games is in jeopardy. As Brooks James, with the pursuit still hot for this Stanford defense. They scored exactly 20 last week at Oregon against SC. And that 39-game streak of at least 20 points is the longest in the nation. And by far and away ahead of Oklahoma State. And we'll see if they get to 40 today against USC.
Game timer, please reset the clock to 10:01. 10:01.
Here comes pressure up the middle and from the edges. Herbert on the move, and that's broken up, a flag down. And it was Alameen Murphy who got his handed on the pass.
Before the ball was thrown, holding defense number 34. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Peter Columbai. There's Mark Helfrich. We mentioned Lewis's father, and your father, Anthony, and my father. His father, a Marine. His uncle Pat was in the Navy, played, in fact, football with Roger Staubach. His grandfather was Anu Iwo Jima in World War II in the Pacific, and service in the Shaw family as well. David's father, Willie, on the other side. And that was such a big part for David in his upbringing. Willie was in the Air Force in Vietnam. And David said that the honor, the duty, say what you are going to do and then do it. Do what you say. Part of lessons that he learned from his dad came from that. And for Sean, I imagine for a lot of folks whose families served in Vietnam and beyond, it's in some ways, as David told us, it can be a tough time of year because Dad is remembering all those people, and I'm sure for all our veterans, that's a sobering part of the thank yous and the appreciation. Herbert on 2nd and 9. He'll just step out of bounds. And just to put a cap on that, a flag comes in, he gets hit late.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, defense number 23. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I think he knew it right away. But just to put a cap on our thank you, and we could go forever, I'm sure, but Steve Kovac, the line judge, as well as a replay official today, Jim Fogeltans, both served in the Navy as well.
False start. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. First down.
But David Shaw told us in talking about his team as Herbert yanks it down and picks up a first down inside the 10. Will make it 1st and goal.
Understandably so. You think about what could have been for Stanford this season. I mean, think about the back-to-back games against the teams in the state of Washington where they were just so banged up.
Oregon, Kenai Benoit into the end zone. And a chance to hit that 20 marker.
It's a nice cutback here from Benoit. Pisarcik pulls around, knocks off a couple of defenders. Benoit shows some vision.
Royce Freeman, a tap on the head. Freeman has 1 touchdown in this game. And so for 40 straight games, Oregon has hit 20 points. That's the longest streak in the nation, but it's not nearly enough. Christian McCaffery coming in today at a hair under 3,300 career rushing yards. He went over that, and his offense will come back on the field. And he starts 1 for 1. And it's Scarlett who's been getting carries here as this game has gone on.
Nimble, chain mover, who made a lot of the right decisions pre-snap at the line of scrimmage. Now we're seeing quarterbacks taking over for Kevin Hogan who are in a similar space in their development right now. The passing game for the Cardinals, David Shaw, will say it first amongst anyone else, leading the game with their ground attack, their offensive line.
Scarlett again, after working for the first down, battles back past the line of scrimmage and churns his way for 3 or 4. And that was one thing interesting, asking David Shaw what he loves about this team. This 5 on the play clock on 2nd and 6. Scarlett again. Here's a 3rd and 3. Stand and let this play clock bleed a little more. And Burns will snap it with 3. Now he's going to throw, and he throws it too high. Out of bounds for Mitchell, and Oregon back on offense. The faithful staying that way. We mentioned, Anthony, this game, Stanford, Oregon, has decided the North every year since expansion in 2011, and that's not going to be the case in 2016. As Herbert air mails that first down throw.
There were so many of their key players out of the lineup. Doesn't mean they automatically would have won those games, no, but that was a key stretch in their season in the North Division that catapulted them into this season's success.
On a 3rd and 5, Dylan Mitchell again near the stick. It's be very close.
And this offensive line got manhandled in that game. There's no doubt about it, both in the run game and in trying to protect the quarterback.
4th and inches. Benoit just had the touchdown. Picks up a first down to move the chains near 4 minutes. And finish this one off, win the last 2 of the regular season, win a bowl game. I think it'd be a pretty great story of, I think redemption's too strong of a word, but a team that the expectations were high, didn't go like they expected. No, the expectations, the ranking. I mean, they were delivering and did not get discouraged by that at all, to the point that David Shaw was, again, gushing this week about the pride that this team has.
Now there's 8,700 bowl games, so who knows, maybe if they get to 5 wins, there still could be a chance. So whether or not it truly eliminates them is a bit nebulous, but
Benoit again. And to the point, the way this game has played out, this series has played out, the other similarity here in the North, Christian McCaffery still very much into this game. The other similarity, or potential similarity, would be that both Washington and Washington State have a landmine or two before they meet. UW with USC. Washington State plays at Colorado next week. Nearly another interception. Would have been the 5th turnover of the game for Oregon. Brandon Simmons nearly got this one. But the team that's been higher ranked in these two meetings, right? You think back, Stanford, Oregon, going back to 2009. Neither one's been unranked. This is the first time we've had that. But at least one of them's been top 7 every year back to 2009. There's a slide and not a late hit. Jordan Perez trying to pull up, couldn't. So one of these two teams has been top 7 when they meet since 2009. That's the short version. The point being, you look at Washington going to Washington State. The lower ranked team in this meeting in the last 7 has won 5. So the question is, does Washington State, if UW gets there unbeaten, or if, as you said, Anthony, they're a one-loss team with a chance still to get in, does Washington State have the juice to make the Apple Cup look like what this matchup's been for so many years?
For me, Guy, I'm so big on the mental and emotional part of football. If Washington gets beat by USC later today, I feel better and more confident, depending on how the game looks and all that. But let's say they play well and USC defeats them. I feel better about the thought that Washington would win out from there, as opposed to the pressure, the intangibles ramping up week by week. If they do win, they stay in the top 4, they're undefeated, and the eye of the tiger is with the opponent every week.
Herbert on 4th down and 6, lofting it over Simmons, and that is a touchdown. Charles Nelson into the end zone for the Ducks. That's his 5th touchdown of the year.
A pretty pass.
42 yards.
Well, they're understandably very comfortable with Justin Herbert operating from within the pocket. Charles Nelson, very fast. There's a nice quick gait that gets him in and out of his cuts at a high level of frequency.
Snyder, the most accurate kicker in Oregon's program's history.
Really pretty ball that was thrown here from Justin Herbert and Charles Nelson. Watch it as it comes in there, right into your living room. Joe Sonnenberg, Jeremy Brown been doing a great job for us all throughout the season. These super modes just giving us, capturing the more dramatic moments in the game of football. I don't know if there's another sport that looks as dramatic in super slow-mo as football does.
Yeah. So this has been all Stanford for most of this game. There is more football coming up here on the Pac-12 Network. Oregon State and UCLA. That's at 6 o'clock Pacific. And also on the Pac-12 Now app. It's 2-2 at home. Oregon State knew it would be another year to rebuild. 10, 11, and 12. What's gone on with Michigan State this year has been eye-opening.
Oregon had finished in the final AP poll the last 9 years coming into this season. Alabama's only been at the last 8 years. Certainly surprising results for the Ducks. To factor everything in, your quarterback and your system, new defensive coordinator, very young players, and all the injuries that the Ducks have had. Be able to restart, rebuild certainly wouldn't be the proper term, but there was moments this season where they needed to try to jumpstart the program.
Pat McFadden had that carry.
Clemson's been upset. Now yet another team with a defeat.
Pitt got him. 42. All right. So on alert.
Well, it's just another ingredient. So many folks tend to assume that all these teams, just because they go in as a favorite, will finish the season undefeated. That's not what tends to happen in major college football.
So, for all intents and purposes, a bowl game goes by the wayside for Oregon now with this loss. As Anthony mentioned, barring a 5-win team, yet again, that would effectively end their chances of making a bowl game. It's been over a decade since that happened. On the winning side, Lewis with David Shaw.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Well, Coach, the importance of coming on the road to get this league game. You get to 5-3 with one league game to go next week at Cal.
Well, you know, it was about coming up here and playing in a hostile environment and try to play our best football. Challenge the team offensively to throw the ball better, protect better. Still had a couple of rough downs, but we played better. Challenged Keller to play just like he knows he's capable of playing. He had a really good game for us. And we need our guys to make plays. We had our receivers go out, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Michael Rector, guys went out there and make plays.
So speaking of Keller, how did he advance his game today as you guys look toward the end of the season?
Well, the biggest thing is it's not the talent that's there. It's about getting comfortable. You know, and people can have whatever expectations they want. This is game 3 for him. Now, he played early, but this is game 3 as a full-time starter, and I thought he's made progress every week, and especially today, I thought he played really well.
And then the explosive plays will be highlights throughout the weekend. I mean, having Christian McCaffery in your back pocket, what is that like?
You know, first of all, he's one of the best players in the nation. Now that he's finally healthy and feeling great, we're playing well up front. He's dangerous every time he touches the ball. And you combine that with Bryce Love and Michael Rector and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Our tight ends played well today. It's a fun group to coach.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Guy?
Thanks, Lewis. What'd you think today, Anthony?
One of the things that always impressed me with this program, and it was on display today, there's a level of humility that they execute with Christian McCaffery not always looking for the big play, but comes up with this splash moment time and time again. Same thing applies on defense.
52-27 for our entire crew. Anthony Herron, Lewis Johnson, our producer Michael Molinari, our director Scott Barkey, Mr. Everything up here in the booth, Sam Polis. This is Guy Haberman saying so long from Eugene.